Plug yourself into the machine.
Hey folks, welcome back to Floyd's Vintage Guitars. Well, before we get started, if you wouldn't mind liking this video, sharing this video, commenting on this video, and if you're not quite a subscriber yet, please go ahead and subscribe, because I'd really appreciate it. Cheers. Well, today I'm doing my AC30, my Vox AC30. Now, I know this is a vintage channel. The amp I'm using today is kind of vintage, but it's not quite 60s. And this is my baby. This is, if I'm going to use a Vox AC30, I'm going to be using this one. This one is made in the 90s, and it's the model that Johnny Greenwood, there's so many players play this particular 90s model. Firstly, because of their great blue speakers, but secondly, because they're a lot more reliable than the 60s models, which are obviously the best, you know. But these are regarded by most guitar players, by touring guitar players, as the closest thing you're going to get to an original. But because they're a lot newer, 90s, early 90s, they tend to withstand the rigors of a tour a lot better. So these 90s Vox AC30s are really the ones to get if you can still find one. Now, guys that have used AC30s through history are endless. I mean, this is one of those amps that certainly needs no introduction. My personal favorite tones from an AC30 would be Johnny Greenwood, The Edge, of course, and the guitar player from Stone Temple Pilots, whose name has just escaped me. So excuse me for that. I'm sorry. Pardon. So I'll think of his name by the end of this video, hopefully. If not, put it in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. Cheers. There's a tone that you get from these amps that in a band situation are the best. They cut through. I love to use the Brilliant channel. There's something about that cutting edge, ice-picky thing that just pokes its head out over the bass and the mids, which is just gorgeous. And especially in a band situation, you know, with a band like Radiohead, where they've got 3 guitar players, I can absolutely see why this amp would be great, because with that top boost, you really do you stick out like a sore thumb in any mix. And interestingly, the guitar player from Stone Temple Pilots, whose name I can't think of, I love his tone, I really do. That Dean somebody, I'll think of it, I promise. He always talks about he uses big amps going through preamps and stuff, but he always has a couple of AC30s on stage with him because that gives the clarity. When he's playing those big chords, lots of distortion, it's the AC30s that allows him to hear all the notes, all the strings individually. And I completely get that. You know, if you've ever played one of these, you'll understand exactly what they're all about. There's something about that AC30 tone, dimed in the Brilliant channel, which is famous. That's what they're great for. That's what they are brilliant at. And there's no other amp that can do that tone like that. Now, condition in this amp in particular is almost mint. The person I got it from never took it to a gig, never used it ever. He had a whole collection of amps, and this one has just been sitting in his studio forever and was never, basically hardly ever used, you know, except for the art studio recording. I was very lucky to find it, and it's had nothing done to it. It's as is pretty much, and it's just in fantastic shape. Speakers sound amazing, everything works great. It's a real gem of an amp. Well, there you go, guys. thank you for tuning in once again. And if you haven't subscribed yet, like I said, please subscribe, because the next amp I'm going to be doing is my 1936 Gibson EH150. Now, I've mentioned this before in one of my videos. 1935 was the very first year Gibson made amps, and they were one of the first amps ever made in the world in history. This one is a 1936, and it was slightly improved in 1936 with a few features which I'll be talking about. But guys, this is history in the making. I mean, this is not history in the making. I'm not making history. The amp is history in the making. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. So this amp belongs in the Louvre. Maybe not the Louvre. I'm getting everything wrong today. This amp basically belongs in a museum where it can be appreciated and loved, but I'm not giving mine away. So tune in, subscribe, and check out this amazing 1936. I mean, I didn't even know they had electricity then, you know what I mean? Well, I did, but anyway. See you next time, guys. Cheers.
Plug yourself into the machine. Become one. Become Apple's new icon. DNA straight to the screen.